And I can tell you where it all started. From my teacher, Mr. Show, who said to me, "You don't have to change what's going on out there. That's the wind that's blowing. All we have to do is change what's going on in here." And now there's several ways to do that on personal development. And let me give you those ways. Here's the first one. We must learn from personal experience. Pretty simple. Learn from what happens to you. Take a look back over the last few months. Did you make some mistakes? How could you correct those for the future? Take a look back over the last year. Have you done it right or done it wrong? Let's correct it for the next year. Learn from your personal experience. Mr. Shope asked me when I first met him, he said, "Mr. Owen, how are you doing? You've been out there now 6 years." And I said, "I'm not doing very well." He said, "I suggest you not do that anymore." What a simple, swift analysis to my situation. He said, "If you keep doing it, the next 6 years will be like the last 6. You don't want that to happen. Let's make the changes." So learn from your personal experience. Now here's number 2, why I came to share this video experience with you today. And that, I call it OPE, other people's experience. That's me, other people. That's your teacher, other people. That's your friends and colleagues, other people. The people you meet that can pass along to you their experiences, what's happened to them, the mistakes they made, how they corrected them, how they changed their health and changed their bank account and changed their income and changed their future. That's it, other people. Now there's 2 kinds of people to learn from. One is failures. It's too bad failures don't give seminars, right? That would be valuable. Bring your notebook. Have them tell you how they lost it all and threw it all away, threw their health away and threw their friendships away and things didn't work out well. That would be valuable. But now then we must also learn from positive people that have done well. They've got the health, and so we ask them, "How did you become so healthy?" They've got the skills, so we ask them, "How did you become this skillful?" They've got the income, so we ask them, "How did you get here in such a short period of time?" So now here's what's important in personal development. In learning from other people, we learn, number 1, by observation. We learn what we see. We watch people that are successful in what they do. In sports, we watch their discipline. In business, we watch their discipline. By observation, what we can see. The reason I created this video was something that you could see someone's experiences translated for you. Second, we learn by what we hear. I've got some of my lectures on cassette tapes, so you can take them with you wherever you go and learn by listening. Turn your car into a mobile classroom and listen. And then listen to the sermon on Sunday morning. Listen to the lecture. Listen to the teacher. Listen to someone who's got something good to say. And then number 3 is vitally important on personal development, and that is read all the books you can possibly read in your lifetime. Mr. Schoaf got me started on my library. I've got one of the better libraries. Haven't read everything in it, but I feel smarter just walking in it, my library. At least I was smart enough to buy it. Now I got to be smart enough to read it. And then, of course, I got to be smart enough to decide what's valuable and then do it. But this one is very important. Become a good reader. Some books that helped change my life. Mr. Schoaf recommended, of course, the Bible. And my parents made sure I was a pretty good scholar by the time I was 18. That's been so beneficial for me, drawing from those illustrations, reading about those stories, people who made it and people who didn't make it and what the difference was. And then other books that helped to really change my life. One called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And then a book that helped me become financially independent by the time I was 31. And that book is called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clayson. And I'm going to share a little bit of that book with you when I get to financial independence today, our 3rd subject. But I started reading the books, attending the classes, making sure that I got in front of people that had something good to say. And then I started keeping a journal. One of the major things my teacher taught me was to keep a journal. He said, "Don't trust your memory. If you hear something good, just make a little note and write it down." Now, at first I took, notes on pieces of paper and torn off corners and backs of old envelopes. And it didn't serve me well, thrown in a drawer. Then I learned to keep a journal, a bound copy of all my notes. So I would suggest you do the same. Things that impress you, a poem that impresses you. When you attend a class, some of the ideas that impressed you, jot them down. You read something in a magazine, right? Some ideas. Take those out, put them in your journal. Keep a good journal the rest of your life. This will serve you well. My journals make up a significant portion of my own library. And if you saw my library and saw my journals, I tell you what you'd have to say. This is the library, and these are the journals of a very serious student.
You know, my last paycheck, I still remember it clearly. It was one of the worst and the best days of my life. And I was in Puerto Rico. I was working for Xerox, and my boss gave me my last, it wasn't a paycheck, it was a bonus check. I think it was about $30,000, taxable. That's the only problem with that. So I got this check and I went, holy mackerel. You know what I mean? So I was excited, but I was also disturbed. And so this other guy comes up to me, his name was John, and John says to me, he says, you're gonna be back. I said, why? He says, because you're gonna fail. I looked at him and said, look, few expletive words, because that's what he did. He left Xerox, failed, and he came back. And I said, look, you failed and you came back, but I'm gonna fail and I'm never coming back. And that's the attitude.
And so think of it this way, 0 to 21 is springtime. Things are easy to grow in springtime. You don't have to do that much. Growing as a kid happens naturally. But overall, life is supporting you. It's sending you, teaching you, sharing with you. Now, when you get from, 21 to 41 or 22 to 42, whatever range you want to talk about, you now are in the real world. And now you go test what you learned in your springtime. So you start to learn, test, figure out what's real. It's an important stage of life.
Your flaws are fine. No one is perfect. None of us. We all have bad days. We're all gonna feel like shit sometimes. You're all gonna have bad days, and that's fine. We have this crazy standard, especially with the internet, where everything has to be perfect all the time, and we have to look perfect, we have to behave perfect, we have to say the right things. Everyone screws up, and that's all right. Laugh through it, don't take yourself too seriously, and make sure that you don't live for someone else's validation. It's your validation that you need.